Hi, I'm Heather. This is another episode, technically, of my Year to Radical Change series. Normally, what I'd be talking about, or at least the first few episodes, have been about the fall of 2018 to 19. However, I realized I really needed to go back to 2014 to kind of remind myself how far I've come in just 5 years. I also realized that there's probably an awful lot of people who have no idea what I've done before now, and I think it'll be really interesting. I'm definitely learning an awful lot from going back and allowing the memories and the feelings to come back from 2014. So I'm going to do a quick recap starting in April of 2014. It's based on my Facebook page and memory. I have more data from some months than others, but I'm just kind of accentuating the parts that stand out for the most to kind of give you the flavor of how fucking insane this year was for me. So, April 17th, 2014. This wasn't actually a post, but that was the day my husband of 17 years told me he no longer wanted to be married to me. I called my brother, and he came and picked me up, and we built a blanket fort in his living room and watched Princess Bride, and he got me Thai food while I just cried in kind of that really painful way that you can't eat or breathe. Yeah. So I'm thankful to my brother for coming and getting me. All right, so on April 22nd, I traveled to Eugene, so it's 5 days later. I traveled to Eugene for an interview for my dream job. And it actually had honestly been specifically created with me in mind, but I still had to go through an extremely competitive 6-month-long interview process. And the interview I was headed to in Eugene was with 13 people, and I had to give a PowerPoint presentation about some of my proposals for what I was going to do with the program I was applying to run. The next day, April 23rd, I posted, "I am once again grateful to my grandmother that my grandmother did not allow my mom to name me Patience, because I sure as heck don't have any. Waiting for news from someone is the worst. But as I have previously said, I didn't pee myself today, so honestly, it could really be worse." So behind the scenes, what was going on is I had asked my husband if he was willing to do anything to try and work it out. We had tried counseling off and on for many years, and honestly, things would get better for a little bit, and then we would fall back into our old destructive patterns. And he didn't think that it was possible for us to break out of it. At this point, I really don't blame him. At that point, I was pretty freaking pissed. All right, April 25th, my post on Facebook. "I'm really looking forward to camp this weekend with my Girl Scouts. Yes, another one." I guess I'd done another camp, a couple months before or something. I was a Girl Scout leader. "This one is learning about real camping, but harder because Girl Scouts have a ton of rules. I am procrastinating getting ready though." April 27th, I posted, "I learned many lessons this weekend, but chief among them is don't take 5 11-year-old girls tent camping in Oregon in April. It was certainly a learning experience for everyone. It rained the entire time." Most of the girls had never been camping before, and most of them swore they would never do it again. Thankfully, my eventually to be sister-in-law at the time, we weren't related, but she was a saint. She was with me. She was my co-leader, and she kept us from going literally insane. And it was a ton of Girl Scouts. So then there was all this level of competitiveness too, because you'd look around at the other Girl Scout camps and be like, man, they are way better prepared. I look like a really shitty leader, and oh my God, like, there's so many levels of how challenging this was. Anyway, April 30th. Woohoo! There have been all kinds of weirdness at work. One piece of it being that I was not involved in the Grand Floral Parade planning or execution team this year for the first time. Finally, the head of the committee realized the only person who makes sense to organize the entry on parade day is me. So yay, I get to be a part of the parade again. So this was in reference to, for 6 years running, I think this would have been like the 3rd year, for 6 years running, I got to be very involved in the University of Oregon's presence in the Grand Floral Parade, which is a huge parade in Portland, Oregon in June. And there was even a few times I got to walk in the parade. My daughter got to be in it. Like, some of my peak moments of my life were centered around this event, and you know, my being a part of, you know, making sure the University of Oregon looked really good in it. So it was a big blow when I didn't get to be on the committee this particular year in 2014. But they realized, well, at least parade day, we really need Heather to help. And that's my favorite part anyway, was parade day. So that was like the ideal scenario. May 15th, my post. When you spend the majority of your adult life with someone, how the hell do you figure out what is mine versus yours when you thought it all was ours? Divorce had come up multiple times in our years together, but I honestly never seriously considered it as an option. I really thought we would always work it out. I really did believe that we were going to be one of those couples that was together for a lifetime. So it was a big blow that wasn't true for both of us. May 7th. I posted a meme that says, maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you, so you can become who you were meant to be in the first place. And to that I say, fuck yeah. I mean, it's so true that I made a Radical Pleasurist meme out of it. I didn't remember this, and so rereading it recently, I was like, it's the unbecoming. And it really goes with my whole idea about the shit suit and taking off the shit suit. Anyway, I don't want to go on a tangent, but yeah, it's the unbecoming. All right, so in June, it's a little less specific. I didn't post a whole lot, or at least the posts just didn't really quite make sense, but basically what was going on is I had that huge project at work, the Grand Floor Parades in early June, so I was working lots of extra hours. Then I had my 20-year college reunion, which I was super apprehensive about, but most of my besties from college were gonna be there, and it ended up actually being a really freaking fun time, so that was a highlight. My brother and his wife moved in with my daughter and I, and we definitely had some really great times. We had some rough times those few months that we lived together. I also in June found out that my husband was involved with a woman who they'd been friends for months, and I'd been, you know, I had no reason to think there was any issue when we were still married, and so that felt really challenging to understand, because it really brought in the question as to whether or not he was involved with somebody else when he left me. So that was challenging. All right, and then on the 16th, I announced on Facebook that I had gotten the big job. I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. On August 28th, I posted, "Fuck you, depression. I went for a starter run today, and I liked it. You're a lying asshole." I had taken up running a few years before and enjoyed it a great deal. I'd done multiple 5K runs, so I wasn't very serious about it. It was just for fun and to get outside. But around this time is when I was realizing, like, I really freaking couldn't do it anymore. I think I had even joined my work team. My work had a team of people who've gotten together, and they were gonna do this really fun relay race in Oregon that I was dying to do, and it was a great opportunity. But I couldn't train because I was getting really sick and didn't want to admit it. All right, so in September, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and I was excited about it, genuinely excited about it, because at least all the pain I was in had a name. It had been going on for a couple of years now, and it had been getting progressively worse, and I really had no idea what was wrong with me, and really no one else had any ideas either, and we'd done tons and tons of tests. Finally, I had one that looked likely that I had RA, and I went on the recommended prescription medication. But spoiler alert, I didn't have RA, and that medication really jacked up my body. I had been struggling for over a year at least, and the chronic pain had become nearly constant, and it just kept getting worse and worse. All right, in October, I sold my house. It had only been on the market for 8 days, so that was pretty exciting. That was the only home, though, that my 6-year-old daughter had ever known, or 6th grade daughter had ever known. We'd been in there. We bought it September 10th, 2001. September 11th was a very challenging day for all of us. That's why I remember it so clearly. So yeah, I'd been in that house a long time. In November, I asked my rheumatologist if diet changes could improve my RA symptoms, and she just kind of scoffed at it, went, I don't know, I guess, I doubt it, but it probably won't hurt anything. That's when I knew that I was definitely working with the wrong person, because I had done enough research at that point that I knew that diet changes had significant scientific backing, as well as a lot of anecdotal, but significant amount of backing that it helped inflammation symptoms significantly, including those in RA. So I went ahead and went on the diet. I also had been working with a naturopath who had suggested it as well. So it wasn't long after that I stopped going to that rheumatologist, and my naturopath helped me get off those horrible medications. In November, I also bought season passes for snowboarding on the mountain because I thought I was feeling extremely optimistic about everything. So there's a photo I posted on my actual blog. If you're watching this on YouTube, then the blog will be in the description below. There's a photo I posted from November 29th of 2014. And I remember this day because it was a really big work event. It was a football watch party, and I was actually feeling pretty cute. I had bought a new jersey, and Ainsley was feeling really cute. And now when I look at it, I was like, oh my God, I look so unhealthy and really puffy. And I showed it to a friend of mine, and he was like, I recognize the smile, but other than that, that woman in that photo doesn't even feel like you. So yeah, it's wild for me to look at that. Anyway, yeah, I really felt like utter dog shit at that point. So we moved out of our house of 13 years on December 1st and into the only apartment that I'd been able to find that would keep us in the boundaries for my daughter's school. Unfortunately, it was infested with fleas and mice. So that was a fucking fun time. Eventually, I did sue the management company and did end up getting a settlement, but that was a whole nother stress that ended up being a big fucking hassle. Oh yeah, in December also my boyfriend ran over my daughter's foot. She was in a boot for 6 weeks and could not use the brand new snowboard or the snowboarding pass that I had gotten her. I was able to get a medical exclusion from my mountain pass, so they gave me my money back based on my worsening RA symptoms. At the time, I still thought I had RA. All right, so as 2015 began, I really thought I was in an upswing. I absolutely loved my job. I felt challenged, excited, engaged, supported. I was appreciated at work. I was really I really felt like I was at the pinnacle of my career, and things were just getting better. I thought I was taking pretty good care of myself with diet changes and paying more attention to my health in general. My daughter was doing well and managing the 50-50 schedule with her dad pretty well. I got lots of time to myself and with my new boyfriend. But as it turns out, 2015, 16, and 17 were all banner years for epic, crushing, painful shitstorms, interspersed with some sunshine and fun and playfulness and traveling and learning. I've learned many new skills that I did not have back in 2014. I now know how to feel my feelings when they're actually happening rather than stuffing them down. I have compassion for myself. I take rest days. That's still a challenge for me, but I'm definitely improved a great deal. Especially when there's lots of difficult things happening. If I had taken some rest days in 2014, maybe things could have been a whole heck of a lot different. I also have learned quite a bit more about how to allow my community to help and support me. I also have identified that one of my primary numbing and coping mechanisms is to be really, really, really busy so that I don't have the time and the space to feel my feelings or get my rest or take good care of myself. That one is also one that I'm still challenged with, but again, there's significant improvement. So, I have some questions of reflection for you. What are some specific ways that you take care of yourself during challenging times? Do you get more rest? Do you make sure you always get your exercise? Do you take alone time? Do you eat better so your body can more easily recover? If you're realizing you could improve in this area, what's one small change that you can make that would improve how well you take care of yourself by just 10%. You don't have to shoot for the moon. Just start with 10%. And as that habit becomes more familiar and comfortable and comes more easily, then you can layer on another one. Add another 10% of taking care of yourself just a little bit better. So thank you for watching. Please like the video and subscribe, and have a radically pleasurable day. I know I will.